the Overman Warrior Podcast.
Hi, it's Rich Hoffman here. I feel a little sorry for the Trumps, and I think people say, "Why don't I feel sorry for the Trumps? They're rich, they're powerful. There's all kinds of stuff." But I feel bad for President Trump. He has a very beautiful wife. Melania's a very beautiful person, and it's been a little embarrassing because he goes in public and he's trying to hold her hand and she's slapping his hand away, and people are speculating about their marriage. Are they going to get divorced? She's going to leave him for some younger man. And I feel it's necessary to talk about this. I've met Melania. Melania is exactly the same age as my wife. And I think it's not too much to say that when you get to be in your 50s, nobody's interested in your sex life. Nobody wants to hear about your sex life. No one wants to think about your sex life. When you're in your 50s, you're grandparent age, and nobody's thinking about you in sexy ways. And if you're President Trump and you built your life around being a playboy, he's 80 years old. This isn't a put down, but how attracted would someone be to an 80-year-old person? And you think Melania Trump's wake up in the morning thinking, "Oh, I gotta have some sex today"? No. Anybody who's in their 50s knows, and menopause definitely comes about that time. The baby machine turns off. You stop having menstrual periods. You really stop thinking about that kind of stuff. It's not a priority. Not that you don't have it. You just don't. It's not a priority. With teenagers, it's the only thing they want to talk about. It's the only thing they think about because biologically they've been built to go out there, and that's why it's kind of creepy for older people to be thinking about sex so much. The reason people have midlife crises at 40 is because they're down to the last years of their reproduction cycle, and so they have another resurgence of sexual activity. They're trying to hang on to their youth. I think if you go down to the whole pedophile culture, what you're getting are people who didn't get it right the first time, and they get a little money and power, and they find they can easily manipulate younger people, so they lack courage themselves. So they find themselves drawn to pedophilia. That's my take on it. They're insecure and perverts themselves, so they seek insecure people unprepared to defend against them as victims. But what they all share in common is the biology machine is cranking, and they're from a creepy age of the teens through 45. Sex is what's on people's minds. You can't hardly sit down and go to have an interaction with somebody from the opposite sex if you're in that time range without somebody assuming that you're going to get a hotel on the way back to wherever you guys came from, because it does, like, those things go together. Sex and talking are just not part of the natural process. But when you get in your 50s, nope, not so much, and people aren't interested in your sex life. And Melania is now in her 50s. She's probably not all that interested in sexual activity. She has a grown son. She's good. People are drawing conclusions about the Epstein files and that she was in it and it's causing trouble in the Trump marriage. No, I think knowing that age group and those people a little bit, I think Melania, when you're a woman, and I think it's not a big secret, she was a young woman. She married Trump in his 50s. People say gold diggers. She married a much older man, a guy as old as her father. And when I heard about it, I thought it was weird. They've made it work. I think mentally they're pretty much at the same age group. But physically not. You think that Melania's waking up every day thinking, "Oh, I want to have sex with an 80-year-old man." And Trump may not think of himself as an 80-year-old man, but, you get up close and the skin is 80-year-old man skin. And everything's 80-year-old. And it's not exactly like, gosh, I got to have it. No, I don't think that's happening at all. So he feels like, hey, I got to show that we don't have a sham marriage. I work 12 to 16 hours a day. You live and you sleep in a separate bedroom, And when we're in public, I feel like I got to hold your hand and show everybody we're unified. And she's like, you know what? I don't really want to do that. I don't want to put on a phony bit. I don't feel like it. I don't want to do it. No, don't bother me. And that's a woman. And if you've known women in their 50s and they're going through that period of their life, they are not all touchy-feely. They'd rather not be bothered most of the time. So that's what I see going on. And I don't think it's a vast conspiracy of the Trumps breaking up anytime soon. I think it's just biology. He's an 80-year-old man and she's in her menopause years. And that's not to say that she's getting old and is no longer desirable, but we all go through it, and you get to that age and you got to come to a maturity and say, you know what, I'm not defined by, does anybody want to sleep with me? Does my sexuality get me a seat at the table or get me to talk to somebody from the opposite sex? And for a lot of people, that's a crisis, because I don't know. You watch. I watch the kid programming we give to children, and I love it. I think it's great. We focus on their intellect, learn your ABCs, learn how to construct a sentence. These are animals. These are the names of things. These are different languages. We spend the first up to their teens. We spend a lot of time trying to train youth to be smart and use their brains, because they're not supposed to be thinking about sex. And then when they turn teenagers, everything's about sex. And they think everything, the gateway to adulthood, is adult stuff. And then we say adult movies. So pornography and adult stores, adult activities, meaning drinking. That's why teenagers go out and act stupid. I can drink now. I'm of age. I can now be accepted into this realm of orthodox. Now I am judged by my sexuality. Can I have sex with people, and do they want to have sex with me? And that will determine my validity in life. Yeah, I went through this. My kids, both in their 30s, mid-30s now. I saw all their friends that they grew up with, and they're 29, 28, and you talk to them, you're like, how you doing? Oh, I'm almost 30. It's like their life is over. Because if you're not a blooming flower in your 20s, and you don't go somewhere and everybody's trying to hit on you, it's really hard for a girl. I raised 2 daughters. Really hard for a girl. You take them somewhere. Like I would take them out to eat, and we go to a place and have some food. And people naturally assume it's like, there's a guy in his 50s taking a 20-something girl out. And they would assume that's a romantic interest, because you must be doing something illicit if you're with a female that's younger than you, or just with a female in general, and you're within that age group. Now, when you get up over 50, people see you with a woman, they're like, you can't possibly, nothing's going on, because you can't possibly be thinking about sex. And it's certainly that way when you see an older couple in their 70s. They do have it, but you got to kind of work at it to create the circumstances. It doesn't just flower up. You don't just go out to dinner with your wife of 40 years and have a Harry Met Sally moment. For her, the orgasm talk is completely a fake, because she's thinking about her kids or grandkids. She's thinking about insurance. She's thinking about what the prices were down the road at Kroger, the difference between Kroger and Walmart and Costco, and should she have bought that bag of popcorn at Costco? She's not thinking, oh, I want to have a sexual experience with you after we get done eating here. No. If you're under 50, you're probably thinking, I want validity for my sexuality in this other person. And a younger person has their biological ticker cranked up on high mode, so you get kind of a boost. The younger person might think, oh, there's a person who has still some sexual appetite, and they have financial security, so I can align myself with that, and I can lay there and let them do what they want to me. But then when they get to be a certain age, and Melania is certainly at that age, you're like, okay, I no longer am thinking about having babies, and I no longer want an 80-year-old man crawling all over me. No, thanks. If I have to endure it, I will, but I'm good to be good with my thing. You do your thing. If you want to stay up all night saving the world, you do it. And I think that's what we're dealing with. And I think journalists should, I think people should be a lot more respectful. I think it's nice that they're married, and it's cute that Trump wants to hold her hand, but I say she doesn't want to be a part of any of that, and she's not feeling it. Like a lot of women her age don't anymore, and it's hard getting older, and it's hard realizing that you're not you just because someone wants to sleep with you. You have to find different ways to define yourself when you get up over 50, and the Trumps are in the White House and they're doing great things and they're building their life in lots of constructive ways. And sex probably isn't much of a deal, but to relate to other people, Trump has an instinct to know, well, you have to be able to relate to people. That's one way to communicate. So let's show them that we're a good couple. Let's hold hands. And Melania's like, you're 80 years old and I don't have that kind of thoughts about things anymore. And I'd rather sleep alone and not be bothered. I want a clean shower and I don't want someone crawling all over me every day. I'm good. And I think a lot of women find themselves in their older years like that. And marriages that survive learn that that's not very important, sex. And if you can't pass that plateau, it's really a human gate that you have to turn almost back to where you were as a child, where you're learning things for the sake of learning and doing things for the sake of doing them, not because it opened as a sexual gateway. And then when these poor kids turn teenagers, everything suddenly becomes about sex, and everything's defined by, does somebody want to sleep with me or not? And am I secure enough to hold out for this person or that person or these kind of the things I'm attracted to? Am I going to play the game? Do I want to play the game? And everything we do in adult life points people towards that game. So when that game is no longer relevant to our lives, and after 50 it no longer is, or it shouldn't be, or you're not maturing correctly, then you become just a creepy person if you're still thinking about that stuff at that age and over. But you spent most of your adult life defining yourself in a different way. It's hard for people to understand, and I'm sure the Trumps are going through their own version of that, and Trump's like, hey, we got to maintain a public presence, we're married, and well, people designate marriage with sex. So I got to at least hold your hand to show that we can be close. And she's like, you know what? I don't want that. I don't want to hold your hand. Your hand's sweaty. I don't want to feel sweaty hand on my hand all day. No offense, but I'm not going to get a shower for another 12 hours, and I don't want to smell you on me. Is that mean? I think it's natural for people to feel that way, especially when you start developing your sovereign space. And I think that's what's going on. I don't think Trump marriage is in trouble. I think it's just a natural biological process for anybody that stays married for any sustained period of time. And we all come to a certain point in our lives where we're no longer defined by our sexual appetite or our sexual potency. It's no longer important. And it's a hard psychological transition for a lot of people to make because adult life has been defined by it, and it shouldn't have been. It's a mistake that's been going on for far too long, and we have to mature as a culture, and we're slow getting there, and that's what's going on with the Trumps, I think. Not that their marriage is in trouble, but that people just lose interest in sex over time, and that's perfectly natural to have that emotion. It's a biological mechanism, sex is, and emotionally we're supposed to grow beyond it. And I think that's what's going on with the Trumps. President Trump found something to do besides be a playboy. He became president. And she found something to do besides raising her child, and that is have independence and some sovereignty over her life. She's a private person, and she can get up every day and live her life and not have to interact with anybody if she doesn't want to. And it's work to share space with other people, even a husband. That's life, and it's a maturity, and it's what a lot of people should be getting to. They misdiagnose it as other things, and these media people are certainly misdiagnosing it because they probably don't know many people in their life that have reached that age successfully, so they don't know what it's supposed to look like. That's what I think is going on. It's just a natural maturity of a marriage that's been going on for a while, and it has a full-grown kid as a result of it, and sex becomes much less of a priority. And it happens to the best of us, if everybody's lucky. Anyway, Rich Hoffman here. Share, subscribe. Make tomorrow a better day. If you haven't read my book, The Gunfighter's Guide to Business, I think you'll love it. Anyway, have a good day, and see you later.
In the age of disclosure, you must understand the politics of heaven. Coming soon.
Coming soon. The politics of heaven in 2027. A treasure hunt through heaven and all human history.